You know, in the heat of competition, your biggest opponent, it isn't the person across from you. It's the voice inside your own head. So today, we're going to talk about how to master that voice, not just manage it.
Think about it. You're in the zone, everything's clicking. You feel unstoppable. And then, one missed shot, one bad call from the ref. And just like that, the focus shatters. You can feel that wave of emotion just wash over you, and your performance starts slipping away.
So, here's the game plan for today. First, we're going to dig into why this actually happens. Then, we'll get into a little bit of the science, what's really going on inside your brain when the pressure is on. And most importantly, I'm going to give you the tools you need to stay in command, right when it matters most.
All right, let's get right into it. We need to be really clear about what we're up against here. This isn't just about feeling a little frustrated. No, this is about that exact moment when an emotion completely takes over and hijacks your performance.
But I want to get one thing straight right from the start. Emotions themselves, they are not the enemy. It's the uncontrolled reaction to them that is. That's what steals your focus, what makes your muscles tense up, what leads to those bad decisions. That's what shatters the rhythm and the confidence you've spent so long building.
Now, this next idea, this is probably the single most important mental shift you're going to make. The goal isn't to feel nothing. That's impossible. The goal is to respond, instead of just reacting.
And don't ever think the pros don't feel this. They do. The best athletes in the world feel that same frustration, that anger, that disappointment, just as intensely as you do. The difference, the elite skill, isn't that they don't have emotions. It's how fast they recover from them. Okay, so if we're going to control these reactions, we first have to understand where they even come from. And listen, this is not some flaw in your character. It's a biological response, something that's literally hardwired into your brain for survival.
It all kicks off with something we call threat perception. See, when you're competing, your brain can interpret a simple mistake, a bad call, even a tough opponent as a genuine threat. Not a threat to your life, of course, but a threat to your identity as an athlete, to your status on the team, and to the outcome of the game itself.
And the second your brain perceives that threat, your limbic system, that's your emotional brain, it just lights up. Instantly. We're talking milliseconds. It's so fast that your logical, thinking brain doesn't even have a chance to catch up. So emotion wins that first race every single time, and your focus gets yanked away from the game and right onto that feeling.
You've seen this 100 times. A defender makes one little error, and instead of just resetting, he gets trapped in this mental loop, arguing with himself, throwing his hands up, replaying the mistake over and over. His body is still on the field, but his mind, it's completely stuck in the past. And that just makes him a target for the next mistake.
So if this reaction is so automatic, what's our first instinct? Well, it's to fight it, right? To tell ourselves, just calm down. But that approach, it leads us straight into something called the suppression trap.
Here's the trap. When you tell yourself, don't get angry, your brain has to first think about being angry just to understand the command. It's that classic, don't think of a pink elephant problem. It actually makes the feeling stronger. The real key, the way out, is to simply acknowledge it. Just a quiet internal, okay, I'm feeling anger right.
And this is so crucial. Real control starts with awareness, not with resistance. Think about a master of this, like Novak Djokovic. You'll see him acknowledge the frustration, maybe it's a look, a quick gesture, but then boom, he immediately channels it right back into his routine, his breathing, his focus on the very next point. He's not fighting the emotion, he's accepting it, and then returning to the job at hand.
So, we've established you can't stop the emotion from showing up. The real skill then is to interrupt that emotional loop before it completely takes over. And to do that, you need a tool. We call it the 3-step reset. It's a really simple, repeatable process. Okay, step 1 is just to name it. Silently, to yourself, just say the word frustration, anger. That simple act of labeling actually starts to shift the activity from your emotional brain back to your thinking brain. Step 2, a physical reset. Could be a deep, controlled breath out, maybe rolling your shoulders back. Just a small physical action to break that tension. And finally, step 3, redirect your attention. Ask yourself, okay, what's my job right now? What's the very next thing I need to do?
You know, I once worked with a young soccer player who would get completely thrown off his game by bad calls. So we drilled this exact reset, over and over. The second he felt that anger rising, his process became a sharp exhale, the word next in his head, and an immediate scan of the field. And the results? They were incredible.
His emotional reactions got shorter and shorter, and his performance just became so much more consistent.
So, this reset, that's your tool for recovering in the moment. But if you want true mastery, you have to start treating composure like any other trainable skill. It's something you have to build, just like you build your strength or your technique in practice.
So how do you train it? Well, for starters, you have to create stressful situations in practice, and then deliberately work on your emotional control right there. You can't just hope it magically appears on game day. Second, you have to work on reducing the meaning you attach to any single moment. One mistake, it doesn't define the outcome. And finally, you have to constantly anchor your focus back to your role and your immediate task.
Picture this, a basketball player at the line, misses a huge free throw. That wave of disappointment is just immense. But instead of slumping her shoulders, she immediately turns and sprints back on defense, already calling out the play. So what's happening there? She's starving the emotion of attention. She's replacing it with purposeful action.
And that right there is a fundamental law of performance psychology. If you remember one thing, remember this. Action is the fastest emotional stabilizer. You can't just wait around to feel better. You have to act your way back into a state of control.
All right, let's wrap all this up into a concrete game plan that you can take with you into your very next competition. This starts before the game even begins. First, go into the competition expecting emotions to show up. They're part of the deal, so don't be surprised when they do. Second, have your reset routine practiced and locked in. And third, pick your cue word. Next, focus. Whatever it is, make it automatic. Then, in the game, your job is simple. Just notice the emotion early. The very moment you feel that little spark, execute your physical reset, your breath, your posture, and then immediately shift your focus to the next thing you have to do.
And the work doesn't stop when the game ends. Afterwards, I want you to review those emotional moments, but do it without judgment. Just look at it like data. Find one small thing you can improve for next time. And then, and this part is crucial, you have to let it go. Stop replaying it in your head. You learn the lesson, now move on.
So let's just end on this thought. The goal of a mentally tough athlete isn't to achieve some kind of emotional silence. That's just a myth. The real goal, the one you can actually achieve, is to build world-class emotional recovery.
So I'll leave you with a question to think about. What is the one emotion that impacts your performance the most when you're competing? Because just identifying it, being able to name it, that's the very first step toward mastering it.